living room and then dining room.
Paper.
He was trying to see it. After that, we passed on that one. Thank you. I'm glad I'll be upstairs to various teachers.
Okay, I heard the blogger was there one time. He was in services and his wife was upstairs.
Okay.
I've heard that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very nice.
Stanley Arnold is a
Okay.
teacher as well.
Okay. I didn't know. Yeah.
Here's my teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
He just ran
My
back.
teacher at one point.
Yeah.
Okay, I call the meeting to order, the work session meeting to order on February 11th.
Mears,
Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
for the record, Ethel Bacon and Chief Livingston.
Okay. So you ended up talking with the city?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Was there anything from out of that?
Like what?
Since you went over there.
Well, I asked finally, Trustee Harris and I went to had a meeting with her. Some of the questions that I asked were the year the fire station was built, the principal and interest payments, were they monthly, yearly, which fund did that come out of, how many payments, the number of trucks, equipment they had, who maintains or who does the maintenance on the vehicles, average lifespan, mutual aid billing, mowing, landscaping of the fire station, just questions like that. That's what I asked. The tax abatement for the businesses going in up there at the industrial park.
Okay. So after the OTAs last week, I have all this information that I'm processing and digesting. I just started playing around with the spreadsheet a little bit to better understand the scale that we're talking about. So the 3% increase per municipality per year is not unusual. It's not something that's never heard of. It's actually something that's been done more regularly across Ohio and other states. So trying to understand what that looks like from year to year, I started adding up based on, they started with the 2018 amount, which was $345 that we're paying to each municipality in 2018, right? 2020 is kind of out of the gate. That's going to have to be something that we talk with them about, figure out how we fix that.
Well, you've given us new language.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think Tony sent you the new language that would go in there.
Okay. So for the sake of this exercise, I just took the amount that we were looking to increase for 2020 and put that in there, and then started doing a 3% increase per year with a rolling tally, just to see how much we're talking about. Over a 10-year period, we go from about 278.8 thousand to in 2030, if we just did this vanilla straight through, 363,784. That's a 3% increase per municipality per year for every year starting in 2021. The catch to me was that I think our levies are continuous, and I wouldn't suggest this scale. 10 years is very long, and there's not a lot of wiggle room there. But if you look at like a 4 to 5 year and switch over to a term levy instead of a continuous, that's really the only way that we can do the 3%.
Your continuous will stay.
The continuous stays, but then we would do additionally on top of it, right?
An additional.
So,
or term.
but for that, we would still have to update based on more current property values, wouldn't we, or would we stay with the 2010?
You can do either.
2013? Either, okay.
You can stay with the
So-
current levy, continuous levy of the
Right,
current property values they are, and put on an additional levy.
right. So per year, I mean, if you figure it out over 10 years, just for the sake of argument, and then divide it down by the 10, it comes to about $320,437 per year, with $160,218 going to each municipality over that period. Requires some management on your side, because it has to be more of a set value to be able to go yearly. At least as far as I know, I haven't seen or read anything that says that it can actually increase over the years. It would have to be calculated and then divided and then figured, right?
You mean the levy?
The amount that comes out of the levy to pay for the services.
Yeah,
Right.
it would be pretty much fixed, short of if you add new construction.
Right. So,
So after the 3-year period, though, would you come back again to the township and say we need more money after, because I know this contract's only.
Well, I think what you're talking about putting maybe a 5-year, say, 2.5 mil levy on for 5 years, and then in 5 years it would be renewable, and then 5 years after that it would be renewable.
for the sake of conversation, I'm speaking theoretically, right?
Correct.
So, an option would be is to do whatever the contract would have to reflect the levy, right? So if the levy's a 4-year, it would be a 4-year contract. And what that would look like coming out of
Well, the contract can't reflect the levy.
No, I know, but what I'm saying
Okay.
is that the levy has to reflect the contract, is what I meant to say. Because let's say after 4 years, you come back and say, you know what, we really only need 1.5% over the next 4 to 5 years, and it gives us that ability to adjust that. If it's set in stone, it's set in stone, right? And I'm trying to figure out how we make that work.
Okay, well, I can tell you right now, they're not going to come back and lower it.
No, because costs aren't going to go down.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that you want to have that ability to renegotiate or to rediscuss based on
Well,
whatever.
we're always going to have that with the agreement.
Right.
I mean, we can always rediscuss, and that's kind of the catchphrase that was put into that one.
Right.
And that would be one we would just continue, that, something along that line would be a
Right.
catchphrase we could put in.
So we'd have to figure out what makes sense from the levy perspective.
Right.
Right. So if it rolls out over a longer period, then it's, I guess, what was the amount that we saw based on the millage sheet that you gave us last time, Rhonda? Was that based on the current property values, or was that based on the property values?
I don't
of the
think I've
licenses?
received them for 2020.
Okay.
We'd have to contact the auditor's office for that.
Okay. So,
It would be in probably slightly above.
right. So based on a 10-year term, for example, that puts us at about a little bit over $25,000 per year on top of what we're currently planning to pay.
So are you thinking if we extend the contract out, it's less per year?
No, I was looking at it from the perspective of the levy. The contract, I don't know how that, if it's going to be a defined amount every year perpetually, if that's what they're saying, then we could do that. I wasn't operating from that when I was starting to do this. I was just looking at a 10-year ban and saying, look, put the numbers behind it and see what it would actually come out to, and then work with Rhonda and figure out what that would mean as it pertains to an additional mill levy, right? So if it's per year per municipality, we would have to generate $160,218 on top, or total. Then based on the amount that we're currently collecting, which is the $345 thereabouts. That's a little bit less than 25,000 additional per year that we would have to figure out to cover that increase over that time period.
Who's that?
You got something to say, Dale?
This is what, fine.
'Cause I would.
Yeah, 3% is not no $25,000 on top of the $135,000. You're misfiguring there.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
When you
Take
figure
$135,000 times 4% to figure what
I
it
don't
is.
have the new rate.
It's not 25.
the mathematics of this is based over a 10-year period. So it comes down to an average per year. Yes, it is. Most definitely. In 2021, it would be 139,405.
Yeah, and that's 4,000 additional. You're at 135, so 4,000 additional. That's what I just got done saying.
Yes.
And then the following year, you take the 139 times 4%. Yeah.
So
So that
over-
puts you up to what, 145 or something like that. It's easy
Yep.
to figure.
Yep.
But over 10 years, yes, it would amount to $25,000.
$25,000 per year.
No.
It comes out to $250,000
At the end
over
of
10 years.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Thank you.
10 years.
So, appreciate that.
Okay, so what they're asking for now is additional, or right, if the levy did not pass, they're asking for $4,000 each one of them, so. What is that? And 9,000, 920 or something. That's what they asked for.
Right.
And then the following year would be 41 and then 43 times 2 for each one of them.
Right.
Yeah. And then the new language that they put in is the trustees may elect to defer payment of these additional funds in the city in any calendar year in which the trustees place a fire EMS levy on the ballot until the next calendar year. Provided, however, that by December 31st, 2022, the trustees shall pay the city any of the Section 7 additional funds due to the city that have been deferred in any previous calendar year.
Right.
Okay, so what you're saying is if our levy doesn't pass, then by 2022, we have to pay you that. Okay.
So I'm open for thoughts. I mean, it's not necessarily a straight up issue, but it's something that we would have to figure out moving forward almost in perpetuity. So
you're thinking an additional levy, what millage?
and since I don't have the numbers in front of me, I can't figure out what that is right now. Because any millage would be based on the new property values, right? So if we know the amount,
Say that again. I'm
to
sorry.
figure out the millage, we would need to know what the current property values are to understand what the additional millage is required, correct?
If you want additional, you would just put in the millage amount that you want.
Right. Based on current property values.
0.25, correct.
Right.
And how
Which
is
would
that,
generate about 28,000.
how is that advantageous though for a reassessment?
Replacement?
Or replacement? Well, did we want a replacement levy or were we gonna reevaluate the properties?
Jason said additional, so that would be on top.
Well, that's, okay, but I'm asking,
And I'm open.
is
Yeah,
that,
it's open.
how would that be better? Is
So
what
if
I'm
you put
trying
a
to understand.
0.25 on, that would bring in like $28,000. So that would be enough to pay, which I know you guys aren't happy with, but that would be enough to cover what they're asking for. Along with our addition, or our.
With what's already there.
Yes.
So that would get us through the 3 years and
Yes.
give us time to figure out a long-term plan.
Right. And in my opinion, and I am for the levy and everything, or for the fire, but it has not passed. And if you put a 0.25, that's not going to be much compared to if you put a 2.5 or a 3 point, because you have to remember all of those people, that's on top of what they already pay.
Right.
And I did speak with other townships, at the OTA conference, and pretty much everybody's going through the same thing.
Yes.
We are not the only ones. Everybody's trying to have some kind of levy for their fire and EMS services. I know the state of Ohio jacked up a lot of prices for EMS units and fire departments recently, so I am skeptical, to be honest, about a levy passing, but if we have to at least give it a try.
Can I, what's your carryover? What will be your carryover?
What do you mean?
In your general fund?
In our general fund?
Yes, because don't you pay the fire out of your general fund?
Our fire is all fire funded.
Okay.
It's all fire levy. Brookville has general fund in
Yeah.
there.
Because when we met with her, they're going to get $4 million, and she has $2 million in there. So, and she said she'll probably be paying about $5,000. So there'll be
$5 million.
Yeah.
They'll be cut into the carryover.
Yeah, they'll be cutting in, but they'll still have like $1 million left in their general fund.
Yeah, and ours is all in our fire fund.
So you all would do it that way, okay.
Yeah, we do it out of
You
fire fund.
kind of do it like we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does any revenue need to come from your general fund and be placed into your fire fund?
At this point, no, and we're trying to avoid that.
Because
Right now, our police dip into our fire fund or into our general fund by about $500,000 a year. So
What's
we're
the carryover in the fire fund?
trying to keep the fire fund its own. Offhand, I don't have the number.
And I did see where you guys had your meeting where you're possibly buying another truck.
We have to buy another truck because the one,
Right.
it's
Now, will you buy that or will you lease it?
we're gonna do a lease purchase on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what Brookville's doing too, right?
Way
Is that
too
on the ambulance?
expensive to,
Was that on the ambulance that they were going to lease?
I'm not for sure.
Because Brookville's getting a new one too, so they're going to lease.
yeah, and it's a 25-year-old, I think 25 or
Yes.
28-year-old truck is ours.
Yours, yeah.
Yeah. And we're actually looking at a demo to keep that price down.
Yes.
I have the millage rates here from 19,
Mm-hmm.
if you would like, you want me to make copies? I thought I gave all this to everyone.
Is that on the list? I've got. I had this one, but it didn't have values. It's based on the impact per property
Well,
value.
a quarter of a mil would generate probably close to a little bit over 28,000, because I know here it says 27, but that was over 28. Half a mil, 55,000, quarter of a mil, 83,000, 1 mil, 110,000. Would you like me to continue?
And this is in addition to what we already have there.
Correct, that would be an additional millage.
We'd be at about $500,000 per year. Is that what we're talking about? Is that about 50,000?
Well, if you go, the 0.25 is $27,561.
Yeah.
And you split that in half between both of them. Half a mil would be,
And that's collection per year.
right.
Okay. Makes sense.
And I know last time we spoke about putting it on in August.
like the special
Yeah,
election?
so we're
Is
not
that
gonna put it on in
possible?
August, we put it on, we wait and Sonia was okay with that. If we did decide to put a levy on, we would put it on in November, because you have to pay twice as much or whatever in August.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yes, thank you. And, you know, if it doesn't pass, then that's more money out of our general fund that you're gonna have to take to do that. And then we'll have to turn around and do it again the following year. And I did talk to, Fletcher about having, I think, maybe did you say about a town hall meeting? So whenever, you know, they just need some dates. So whenever you guys will talk about dates, or if you want to do that today, so I can get with him and we can set that up and get what they say.
So probably take, I'd say, a couple, right? At least 2, 3. Is that what your
Meeting?
town halls, like out there, education?
Well, that's, you know, that's a thin line, so I don't know.
Right.
Is that something that you all would want to do with us too?
Sure, you're
or-
welcome.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I tried to invite Clay too, to do a double,
Right.
and they don't want anything to do with it, so.
Right.
But, you know,
Sure.
get with you guys and maybe we
And
can.
is that primarily to discuss the levy or to discuss
It's
everything?
for
and
the fire
anything?
department too, I guess. I don't know, that's what was spoke at the last
Yeah,
meeting, that, you know, maybe,
to educate some of the
Right.
people, give the tours.
Allow people to understand better. It's, you know, it's not just more money in the pot.
You know, there's also a CERT class coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and that might work to our advantage to help people get a better understanding of the fire department as well.
and he suggested sometime in March, because he's gonna be on vacation and Jesse's gonna be on vacation.
He's on vacation right now.
Yeah, so,
Tony's
and then,
on vacation.
right, and then Fletcher's going or something.
Yeah.
March works best for me.
So where we're standing right now, does everyone think that the 1 mil additional is what makes sense at this point?
1 mil, no, I think 0.25.
0.25? Oh,
0.25.
sorry. All right. So the 0.25 additional. So I think up to this point we haven't had a number, right?
Right.
So something that we can start moving forward with and running through the auditor's office.
And this is just, you know, this is just us talking, because then, you know,
Right.
at your town hall meeting, you can, you know, get more input from people.
Right. And I started going through just randomly through the property records, pulling up ballpark
Right.
representative properties to see, because I want to understand the residents too, right? I'm not trying to say let's all run towards this fire levy. I'm trying to understand the impact to the residents of the levy and of not having fire services. I mean, that's basically the crossroads that we're at right now.
They have to supply fire.
Right.
Right.
Well, we have to provide it.
They
Where